Welcome into Tips for Gamers. Today we're going to be talking about Madden 23's player ratings for wide receivers and tight ends. We'll go over their season stats. Now, obviously, we're not going to go over every single wide receiver and tight end because that'd just be ridiculous, but we'll go over a good portion of them and try to see if Madden is correct on this. How do we feel about it? We'll use data as well to inform you guys on what we're thinking and where we believe their overall should be. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and it's enough talking about other stuff. Let's jump into it. So with Davante Adams, he's a 99 overall, not a shock, and we agree with it. We like to look over recent years. If you start going past, 3 years or even start going up to 3 years ago, I don't care what the player did. I don't care how many Pro Bowls he was in since 2010 or what. I just don't care because it's not realistic. You need recent. You got to treat this like fantasy football. Okay, if a guy's good now, he's good now. It doesn't matter. You're not going to get added on points in fantasy football because he was good 2 years ago. So with Davante Adams, we definitely agree with this because of his recent years. In 2020, he was 5th on the list of receiving yards with 1,374 receiving yards with 18 TDs in a single season. In 2021, he was 3rd on the list with 1,553 yards and 11 TDs. So you can see that he's very consistent. So we definitely agree with this. Now, there is something that we do have an issue with when it comes to EA, which is they don't give out enough 99 overalls. And they don't even grade these players correctly because people don't know this, but a 99 overall means that EA just stopped counting. Okay? You could have 2 99 overalls in the same position, like halfback, for example, and they could be completely different. Because one could have 82 speed and still have the same break tackle and trucking as the other halfback who's a 99 overall, but that other halfback that's a 99 overall has a 99 speed. Even if you play MUT, there is big differences between the 99 overalls, and you guys know this. You MUT players know this. You know one guy's better than the other, even though they're both 99 overalls. So in essence, it just means that they stopped counting. We showed this last year in our best, most realistic XP sliders video. We showed the difference between the 99 overalls. So I just wish that Madden would either give more 99 overalls out, or they would just be more realistic and actually grade these guys and go past the 99 overall rating. But instead, they want to try to make this some like TV show, and they want to be like, here's your award. Wow, look at that. So amazing. It's a 99 overall club. In reality, the NFL is only getting better. It's not staying consistent, and it's not getting worse. It's getting better. And EA just has this weird thing where they don't want to give guys the 99 overall because they just try to make it this ridiculous, prestigious award to do it. But you're telling me that there's not a 99 overall tight end, there's not a 99 overall fullback, that linemen barely, if ever, get a 99 overall, and they never get any X factors because they're linemen, which makes no sense at all, that there's no kicker and punter that's a 99 overall. Why are you afraid to give a kicker and punter a 99 overall? Clearly, Tucker is the best kicker. Clearly. Give him a 99 overall. What are you afraid guys are going to go and grab him and put him at quarterback and he's going to be a 90? No. Not even close. So they just have this weird thing about it. And Travis Kelce should be a 99 overall. He was ranked 14th last year in receiving yards with 1,125 with 9 TDs. The year before that, if we're just looking at his recent years, he was number 2 on the list of receiving yards with 1,416. And this is out of wide receivers and tight ends. He was number 2 behind Stephon Diggs. He beat out D-Hop and beat out Justin Jefferson and Davante Adams. So it really just doesn't make sense. Give this guy his credit and start giving some other players their credit too, EA, because you're insulting intelligence. It just doesn't make sense. So with Cooper Kupp being a 98 overall, in 2020 he was ranked 22nd in receiving yards, and I mean it wasn't that amazing for him of a season. And some people will say on some of these guys, well, they were injured. And to be honest, I don't really care about injuries all that much. I don't think you can rate a guy based upon what he could be compared to what you see that he is, right? If he's not on the field, I mean, it doesn't matter what his overall says. He's not on the field. He's not that great because he's not playing. So I won't care about injuries. I do think Cooper Kupp last year, though, solidified himself to have this rating as a 98. I do, because last year, his 2021 season, I mean, crazy, 1,947 yards, 16 TDs, just insane numbers. And then you also have to add in the fact that he did take, he helped take his team and was a big part in taking his team to a SizBiz and helping them win a SizBiz. So, Cooper Kupp, I do agree with this. I do think George Kittle is very close to Travis Kelce. I think that there are more quarterback issues in the 49ers camp than I think are in the Chiefs camp, because you got Patrick Mahomes throwing to you. So there's a little bit different there, but difference in that. But I do think George Kittle is one season away from then having that argument of who's the true number one. Right now, I do think Travis Kelce is number one, George Kittle's number two, but I think it just takes one season and then you can go, ooh, let's talk about it. So for Tyreek Hill, his stats don't say everything because of the fact that he is pulling 2 to 3 guys out of the play at almost all times. Okay, so he's not going to always get the ball because defenses fear him so much. So even if you look at his stats, he was 8th in 2020 on the all-time, not the all-time, but the receiving yards for that season with 1,276. He had 15 TDs. In 2021, Tyreek Hill was ranked 7th with 1,239 yards and 9 TDs. But what they're not showing you as well is how much he puts fear in the defense and how many yards he gives to other guys on his team, because you got to worry about Tyreek Hill. You're going to worry about Tyreek Hill more than you're going to worry about Travis Kelce, more than you're going to worry about Cooper Kupp or Devontae Adams. So he's one of those guys that's like once in a generation type player where he's like Barry Sanders, a wide receiver. He does more damage than even what his stats say. And his stats are even great. So this guy is... he's just insane. Honestly, he's just insane, and I don't know when we'll ever see a guy like him again. We've seen plenty of fast guys come in the league, like John Ross, Ted Ginn Jr., Mecole Hardman. None of those guys that are that fast do the damage that Tyreek Hill does. He's faster than those guys, and he's a better route runner than those guys and a better receiver. He is just... he could do it all. It's crazy to see. So Mecole Hardman or Tyreek Hill, I could actually put him a little bit higher, and I wouldn't have an issue with that. I honestly would. I would have no issue with putting him at a 99. As crazy as that sounds, I just wouldn't. I think on the Dolphins, he's going to have a little bit more trouble because the Dolphins are just not set up as much as the Chiefs were. But I also think that the Chiefs are going to be not as well off as they were before by losing Tyreek Hill. It's a catch-22, but at the same time, Tyreek Hill is just that deadly. So with D-Hop, I do think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Last year, he, got injured. He wasn't doing that good, and I usually don't want to give a guy a benefit of the doubt. But when you're talking a guy who didn't drop a single target a few years ago, like, those aren't numbers that are usual numbers. Those are godlike numbers that he's hitting. In not this last year, but the year before that, he was ranked 3rd, which is amazing. He had 1,407 yards. He had 6 TDs. D-Hop is a guy who is just very consistent. So I think you kind of got to give him the benefit of the doubt and keep him there. If he does bad this year, then I think you got to dock him. Stephon Diggs here, I can't disagree with that. Stephon Diggs in 2020 was ranked number 1 in receiving yards, 1,535 with 8 TDs. In 2021, he was ranked 8th with 1,225 yards, and he had 9 TDs. He was basically tied with Tyreek Hill. So he's one of those guys. He's very, very consistent, very talented, and, I can't really disagree with this. I just can't. With Justin Jefferson, I think they're doing him dirty. He needs to be a 97 overall. He's just too consistent in the last 2 years. I think, if you look at him this next year, if he does like he's doing in the last 2 years, are you then going to give him like, wow, okay, this guy's really good? Because you see a guy do good 1 year like Lamar Jackson, and all of a sudden they're like, bro, you're almost a 99. What? How do you not do that with these other guys who are showing consistency like they are? Last year, Justin Jefferson was ranked number 2 in receiving yards with 1,616 with 10 TDs. What about in 2020? He was ranked 4th with 1,400 yards and 7 TDs. At what point in time can you say that Kirk Cousins is better than Josh Allen and Kyler Murray? Is that what you're telling me? I don't really understand this. I don't get it. If you're looking at consistency in the years that we're looking at, Justin Jefferson in recent years has been completely dominant. And to say he's that much further down than these other guys really just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it just doesn't. So with Mark Andrews, I do not agree with this. I think he's a 2-point difference between George Kittle. I would put Travis Kelce at a 99. I would put George Kittle at a 98. And I would put Mark Andrews at a 96 is what I would do. I don't think he's that much worse. I think last year, he played great. And I think Lamar Jackson's just not very accurate. I hate to say it for those of you who love Lamar Jackson, but he's not accurate. He's a mobile quarterback. He's got a cannon. Sure, he can throw it deep, but he's not going to place it on the numbers very often. Mark Andrews was 6th on the list last year in receiving, 1,361 yards with 9 TDs. And so I think that Mark Andrews, with being with an inaccurate quarterback, I think that he should be a 2-point difference from George Kittle. That's my honest opinion. And I don't believe that he's this much worse than those guys. I just don't. So with Mike Evans, he is very good. He's very consistent too. He gets like 1,000 yards every single year. I think he's the most consistent wide receiver when you're talking about 1,000 yards receiving per year. And he's gets a lot of touchdowns as well. He does get a lot of touchdowns. He's great with the jump ball. I just still agree. I agree with this overall. I don't think that he's as scary as Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's as scary as D-Hop, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams. I don't think he's quite to that level. If you look at him in 2020, he was ranked 18th in receiving yards at 1,006 with 13 TDs. No question that his TDs are really, really good there. In 2021, he was ranked 23rd in receiving yards with 1,035 and 14 TDs. So he's very consistent with the TDs. There's no question. He does have a problem when he goes against Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore tends to win battles against him and shut him down. For whatever the reason is, the old Ohio State cornerback has his number. I think Mike Evans is a great wide receiver. But to say he's like the elite of elite, I'm not with you on that. I'm just not. I don't think that his stats and his presence really dictate that. I just don't see it. For Darren Waller, I don't really disagree with this overall whatsoever. In 2020, he was ranked 10th in the league with 1,196 yards receiving and 9 TDs. So, he's one of those guys, he can definitely get up into the top 10 in receiving out of both wide receivers and tight ends. But I also think that there's a massive fear factor for Darren Waller. He's a guy that very few guys are going to be able to single cover. Very few. You're going to have to double cover him because he's fast, he's huge, and he can catch the ball like nobody's business. So this is a guy I think that you got to respect him because of his fear factor. What he does out there is amazing, and I think defenses know that, and I think defenses would tell you if you had a linebacker, you had a safety who had to cover this guy, they're going to probably even bump this overall up even higher. And that's his peer review. So Darren Waller's a dog, and I don't disagree with this. So Keenan Allen being a 91 overall, I don't disagree with this. I think if someone came to me and said, hey, we should give him an extra overall bump because of his beard, I'd listen to it. I'd listen to it. Darren Waller, his story too. The guy's got one of the most amazing stories ever. I don't even want to bring it up. I'd rather you guys go watch it and listen to his story. Just an amazing guy. I think Terry McLaurin, I think they did him dirty. And it's not just because we're Ohio State fans. I think you can at least give him a 92 to a 93 because Terry McLaurin, for one, the quarterback issues they've had is atrocious. And Terry McLaurin is basically their offense in so many different ways. And he's just so good. He's so freaking good out there. He's fast. He's got good route running. If you break down his actual production on the field, he's great. But then you have other elements too, that it's not just the stats that you're seeing, and even the stats, it's not like he's doing terrible on the stats and going, wow, this guy's horrendous. He was ranked 20th last year, and you already know how many quarterback issues they've had in the last 2 years. 1,053 yards, 5 TDs. Terry McLaurin in 2020 was still also a dog. He was ranked 13th. And you have those quarterback issues that they have. I think you could give him a slight bumpage. I do. I think Amari Cooper being a 90 here, I don't disagree with that. Not at all. If you told me it was going to be a little bit higher, I'd be like, all right, maybe a point or two. If you told me it was going to be a little bit lower, I would definitely disagree with that. Michael Thomas, I think he has to come out and he has to prove that he's still that dude because Michael Thomas, when he's on, he's number one. I mean, he was a part of that 2014 class that for Ohio State that beat Alabama. You know, Michael Thomas is a dog. He's really good. Tyler Lockett, don't disagree with that, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens this year with having a new quarterback. I don't know if Drew Lock's going to keep that up because eventually in time stats will play a part. And when they do play a part, you're going to, you're probably going to see that drop. Chris Godwin, guy out of Penn State, really, really good wide receiver. Can't really disagree with that. I kind of liked his 90 overall, to be honest with you. DK Metcalf, I'd still put him at a 90 overall. DK Metcalf is a dog. Apparently he eats candy all the time too, so maybe give him an extra bonus for that or give him, maybe take one away. Maybe that's what they did. They were like, hey, he's a 90 overall, but he eats candy all the time. We got to drop him down. Deebo Samuel, I don't even know how you grade this guy. I mean, what can't Deebo do? Deebo is Deebo. TJ Hawkinson, it's cool to see him get some respect because TJ Hawkinson is a pretty talented tight end. Not very fast, as you can see there. I don't disagree with that speed rating. That's for sure. Because that dude is big and he's not a burner. So with Adam Thielen, I think Adam Thielen is better than this, but I don't think that you can give him it because of the fact that he has to share carries or he has to share receptions with Justin Jefferson. So, yeah, you're going to get docked. You're not going to look as good because, well, you're not the prime guy, really. There's a guy who came in and he's very, very good. So it's kind of hard to show all of your talent when the quarterback has to throw between you and Justin Jefferson. And he's like, who do I throw to right at this moment in time? It's going to be tough. It is going to be tough to give him a higher overall, but I don't think his overall is any lower. DJ Moore, I don't have a problem with this. A.J. Brown, don't really have a problem with this. Brandon Cooks, I would probably give him a little bit lower of an overall. I think Jamar Chase is actually doing good here. And the reason why, I know a lot of people are probably upset about this, but when you're talking about some of the guys that are ahead of him, some of the vets, it's kind of hard to say, well, you had one good season and we're just going to throw you on up better than everyone else. I do have a problem with that. I think that it is difficult to do. I think if Jamar Chase starts, picking up where he left off last year, then yes, obviously you got to adjust for it. Because Jamar Chase, if I had to pick between Brandon Cooks or A.J. Brown or DJ Moore, Jamar Chase, I'm choosing Jamar Chase. And that even goes for Adam Thielen up here. Sorry, guy. I like you guys, but Kyle Pitts, look at him go. We'll see how that does this year because your quarterback is, I think he's good. I think Kyle Pitts I think he's great. But if your quarterback can't get you the ball, you are not going to show your true potential. Calvin Ridley, Mike Gesicki. I think that these are all fine. Mike Williams, Robert Woods here. I don't see any issue. We'll go to the next page. CeeDee Lamb, 85 overall. I don't really disagree with that. Deontay Johnson, I think he should get a point deducted for, him catching the tennis balls, doing whatever he's doing, and then him dropping like 800 passes during that game. That right there, drop him a point just for that. That's ridiculous. Hunter Renfrow, this guy is insane. I mean, he is. He's a scrappy SOB. He's really good. Cortland Sutton, this guy could easily jump this back up. Right now, I don't see that's a problem, but when you have Russell Wilson starting to throw to you, I expect this to jump. So expect that to go. Hunter Henry, really good. Really, really good. And so the other guys here, I don't really disagree with. I think Zach Ertz also is getting, he's getting older too, and he was better on the Eagles than he was on the Cardinals. So, that change could definitely change your overall, and you may never ever get back to that.
High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft. You can change lives. You create thoughts. Never waste time. You got one shot. You got